What's up, everyone, and welcome to Justin Gaethje just went public with something Dana White probably didn't want anyone talking about right now. The UFC's massive new Paramount deal is supposed to put more money in fighter pockets, but Gaethje says his paycheck for UFC 324 hasn't changed by a single dollar. We're talking about a guy with 14 performance bonuses who still hasn't cracked $1 million total, and he's not holding back about it. Before we get into what he said, make sure to leave a like on the video to help support the channel. So here's the situation. UFC 324 is the first card under the new Paramount broadcast deal, which is putting over $7 billion into the UFC's bank account. That's billion with a B. Since the announcement, everyone's been wondering how much of that money actually makes it to the fighters, especially since this new deal means no more pay-per-views in the United States. That's a huge shift in how the business works. During Media Day for UFC 324, Gaethje was asked directly if his compensation changed with this new deal. Here's exactly what he said. "Oh man, to have 14 bonuses and not equal up to $1 million is not right. It's not right. It should be a lot more than that. I should have had opportunities to do smarter things with my money, but I don't. And I haven't, and to this day. Everyone's, hear Daniel Cormier saying that everybody's going to get paid more on this card? I'm not getting $1 more than I would have if this deal didn't happen." That's pretty stark. Daniel Cormier, who works for the UFC now as a commentator, has been saying fighters will see bigger paychecks under this Paramount deal. But Gaethje is calling that out as not true, at least not for him. And this isn't some prelim fighter we're talking about. This is a former interim lightweight champion, a guy who's been in absolute wars, who puts on violent performances that fans pay to see. Gaethje did mention he's made some smart moves with what he has earned. He bought a commercial property and a house in Arizona, about a mile from his parents. His sister rents that house from him now. He talked about being able to help his family in ways he never could before, giving them Christmas gifts he couldn't afford previously, taking them on vacations. He said that's the smartest thing he did because you can never get that time back with your family. That part was actually pretty touching. But you can hear the frustration underneath it all. He knows he's earned way more than what he's been paid. The big question now is whether fighters will start collecting more money when they negotiate new contracts under this Paramount structure. Dana White has been pretty quiet on the specifics, which isn't surprising. The UFC has always played things close to the vest when it comes to fighter pay. But when you've got a guy like Gaethje who bleeds for this company saying he's not seeing any difference, that's going to raise eyebrows. Do you think Gaethje should be earning more after 14 bonuses and all those wars he's been in? Let us know what you think. Moving on to Israel Adesanya, and he's got some opinions about the current state of the middleweight division. As people keep asking how much longer Izzy plans to fight, the former champ admitted he's not really impressed with what's happening at 185 pounds right now. Adesanya is booked to face Joe Pyfer on March 28th in Seattle. Pyfer's a rising contender with serious power, so it's not like Izzy's taking an easy fight, but his comments about the division were pretty dismissive. He was on the Ariel Helwani show recently, and when Ariel asked about his motivation and whether another title run is something he wants, Adesanya said this, "And it'll happen again. I'm still me, and the middleweight division right now is it's not the same when I was in the game. So yeah, I know they like me as champion, but it's not really my main focus. Like when it comes, what was the last exciting thing at middleweight? Like exciting, or people were talking about it like it's good to have Dricus as champion. I think that was the last exciting thing was him becoming champion. Since then, there's not really been anything that I feel like. He's got a point in some ways. The middleweight division went through an incredible run. When Adesanya was climbing the rankings and then defending the belt, his fights with Alex Pereira were massive events. Robert Whittaker was there, Paulo Costa, Yoel Romero. The division felt stacked with storylines. Now it does feel a bit quieter, though that might change. Dricus du Plessis is the current champion, and while he's talented, he hasn't generated the same level of excitement yet. Adesanya was also asked about the possibility of fighting on the White House card. That's the event Dana White has been teasing, potentially an actual fight card at the White House with President Trump in attendance. Izzy didn't completely shut it down, but he had conditions. He said, "I wouldn't say no, but I hope there's some fans there, actual MMA fans, but I don't want to fight in front of a bunch of suits who don't really care about MMA, and they just want to be there for the show. I get they're going to be there, but I want fans to be able to go to the fight. That's a fair concern. Fighting in front of a crowd that doesn't understand what they're watching would be weird for a fighter of Adesanya's level. If he beats Pyfer in March, do you see him getting added to the White House card? It would certainly be a high-profile name to put on an event like that." Let's talk about Sean O'Malley and the controversy that blew up after his recent face-off with Song Yadong. O'Malley wore a face mask during the stare-down, and people were not happy about it. Song Yadong himself called it out, and now the former bantamweight champion has apologized for the whole thing. After O'Malley showed up to the face-off wearing what looked like a COVID mask, Song Yadong, who's from China, called the move offensive. Other people in the MMA community expressed anger anger or concern about what it represented. So during media day for UFC 324, O'Malley was asked to explain why he wore it and whether he regrets it. Here's what he said. Yeah, my intentions were never, harmful. Supposed to be a little silly joke, it was that and, got taken out of context. I apologize if I offended anybody. When Song Yadong was asked at media day to comment on what happened, he had this to say. I'm okay, but I think don't bring racism in this sport. Just keep it a sport. He already regretted it. He got an interview from China. He said he was sorry to fans. He's trying to get inside of my head like a mind game, but I don't care. I just focus on the fight. I don't care. I just want to win the fight. Focused. Song handled it pretty professionally. He acknowledged the apology, but made it clear he sees it as an attempted mind game that didn't work. The whole situation was messy and probably something O'Malley wishes he could take back. All that aside, O'Malley was asked what he hopes comes next if he wins on Saturday. And he wasted no time calling for a title fight with Peter Yan. He said, it's got to be me versus Peter next if I go out there and take care of business. If not, I don't know. I just feel like I'm kind of trying to manifest that. I think I go out there and put on a beautiful performance. The me versus Peter at the White House is huge. Corey Sandhagen also weighed in with his prediction for the O'Malley versus Song fight when Ariel Helwani asked him who he's picking. Sandhagen said, I got O'Malley winning that one. Song's biggest problem is that he lunges and leaps into his bigger shots. Unless you mess up against Song and get too close, which O'Malley just doesn't really do against his opponents. Song has a really hard time reaching people. With O'Malley's build and style, it's going to be a really, really tough fight for Song. Unless Song maybe wrestles and makes it a little dirty, but he's kind of not that guy either. That's a pretty detailed breakdown from Sandhagen, and it makes sense. O'Malley's length and movement have always been his biggest advantages. If Song can't close the distance without lunging, it's going to be a long night for him. Now let's get to Michael Chandler, because this Conor McGregor situation just keeps getting stranger. Dana White basically shut down any possibility of Chandler versus McGregor happening, and he didn't just close the door on it, he locked it and threw away the key. But Chandler is still holding out hope. Chandler has been campaigning for a fight with McGregor for what feels like forever now. There have been repeated delays and even one fight cancellation. But in a recent interview with Complex, Dana White was asked if McGregor versus Chandler could be part of the White House event. Not only did White say no, he noted that the fight is something the UFC was looking at a couple years ago, like it's ancient history at this point. We also reported yesterday that rumors about Conor versus Jorge Masvidal were shut down by Dana White. Since then, Chandler was a guest on the Ariel Helwani show, and when he was asked about White's comments, here's what he said. My reaction is, we'll see. We'll see how this whole thing plays out. Obviously, nobody has any idea what fights are going to be on the White House card. Is that 100% how it's going to be? Me and Conor are not fighting at the White House? I don't know. All I know is I can control what I can control. Obviously, it's not encouraging. It's not great to hear. When Helwani told Chandler that he believes Chandler is still McGregor's top choice, Chandler said this. When it comes to Conor's love for the sport, he's more of a man of his word than people think he is. Yes, he's flown off the handle a couple times. He's done a couple things here and there that make people question his decision-making, but I think he's a man of his word. I think he wants to fight me to end the Ultimate Fighter contract we had. During the conversation, Chandler even admitted he doesn't have any alternative plans. He said, I don't have a plan B until plan A is 100% exhausted. That's kind of where we're at right now. I'm formulating my blocks and my training and my diet and all that stuff leading up to June right now. That's the plan. Fighting at the White House, fighting Conor at the White House. We'll see what happens. Let me hit you with some quick UFC updates and fight news. Iridium Sports Agency recently reported that featherweights Manolo Zucchini and Tommy McMillan are going to battle on April 24th in Las Vegas. Zucchini is looking for his first UFC win because he hasn't competed since 2023 when he was stopped by Morgan Charrier in his Octagon debut. The Italian is 3-2 in his last 5 fights. McMillan, meanwhile, is graduating from Dana White's Contender Series, where he recorded a decision victory over David McCowan last September. The American is 9-0 to date in Pro MMA. Former UFC heavyweight contender Jairzinho Rozenstruik is making headlines, but not for something he did in a cage or ring. Recently, MMA Fighting reported that Rozenstruik was arrested in Florida and charged with a third-degree felony for false imprisonment and a second-degree misdemeanor charge related to domestic violence. In a follow-up post from the site's Damon Martin, it stated, per the police report, Rozenstruik was involved in an argument with his partner. She told police she called him a nasty beast and claimed he was angered by the comment, and he allegedly, actually, and intentionally bit her right bicep against her will. There's more more news to come on this, no doubt. These are serious charges. And remember when the PFL and Jake Paul raised eyebrows by announcing he was going to fight for the promotion? Well, it looks like that is not going to be the case. Recently, Ariel Helwani reported that he's learned Paul and the PFL are parting ways. And MMA Junkie's Nolan King revealed the same situation is happening for Amanda Serrano. In a follow-up post from ESPN MMA, the outlet provided this summary. Jake Paul and PFL's partnership has officially come to an end. The deal was signed in 2023. The deal was a multi-fight MMA deal. He was given a role which would see him recruit fighters to PFL. He wanted to fight Nate Diaz in his first fight. None of those things happened. So much for that partnership. Now, let's talk about the Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje situation, because things are getting heated. A lot has been made of a picture that showed something that looks an awful lot like staph infection on the neck of Justin Gaethje ahead of UFC 324. Well, now Paddy Pimblett has weighed in on the situation. It'll be interesting to see what Gaethje says about all this after the fight. Here's a more recent picture of the former interim champ's neck. Then JT Lines on X found that Gaethje is currently wearing a bandage to cover up the staph. He posted the following. Gaethje's neck is still bandaged. It's still an open wound, since staph can be extremely serious and potentially affect a fighter's performance. Ever since the image surfaced, people have been debating how it could impact Gaethje's performance this Saturday. But when Paddy was asked about it during Media Day, he had this to say. Did you see rumors of Justin Gaethje having staph on his neck? Yeah, I've seen it. It's one of them. What are we meant to do? You know what I mean? If he's got staph, lad, he's got staph. It doesn't matter if he's got staph or not. I'm still going to smash his head in. But there's lads in our gym who've had staph, lad, knock people out in the first round. So it doesn't affect it that bad, but that'll be another excuse for everyone when I win. That'll be like, oh, Justin Gaethje had staph as well. You know what I mean? So it's one of them. I get on with it. I'm going to be turning up in the cage. And all that matters is if I turn up, nobody beats me. Speaking of smashing heads in, Pimblett also had this fiery warning for Gaethje at Media Day. He won't be physically the same after this fight. I will. I'll be exactly the same. I'm going to put a beatdown on him like he's never received, and I can promise you that. Even before Paddy was booked to fight Gaethje, he repeatedly claimed that Scousers like him can't be knocked out. So, when Gaethje was asked to comment on whether he sees that happening, he went the scientific route. You don't have to be a doctor to know that if you have a brain, it can get shut off. If I just shake it, I'll show him. If I can shake his head and make his brain touch his skull, he's going to go to sleep. The only thing that appeals to me right now is knocking the Scouser out and representing America. And how does Bilal Muhammad see the fight playing out? On his YouTube channel, Bilal said this, "My pick, I think I'm going to go with Justin. I think Paddy just gets hit a lot in the feet. I think I'm going to pick Justin in this one. I don't know if he knocks him out or finishes him. I don't think it'll be a decision. We'll see soon enough. In the meantime, check out this promotional footage for the fight that recently made the rounds. The UFC always knows how to build a fight. And finally, let's talk about Paddy Pimblett's shocking body transformation. It's known in the MMA world that Paddy goes through some insane transformations between fights. This time was no different. In a new picture circulating online, Paddy is looking ripped, just a few days out from his fight, and seems to be locked in and ready to go. The MMA community reacted to his new shocking physique by writing things like, "Looks like he stole Conor's gains and ran with them. His weight transformation baffles me. Bro's ability to cut weight like he didn't have 3 chins 2-3 months ago is insane. I know we say this all the time. But how? Paddy's the ultimate weight loss maxer. Great physique, though. Can't believe this is the same guy. Paddy looks powerful. I'm looking forward to his performance. Best shape he's ever been in. Bro, guy was a slob literally weeks ago. Dude needs to give seminars on weight cutting. Paddy's body transformations honestly need to be studied. Just a little over a month ago, he was with famous streamer iShowSpeed, and he visibly looked chunky while with him. This means that he lost an incredible amount of body fat within that month's time frame. It's genuinely impressive. Even if the yo-yo dieting probably isn't the healthiest approach long-term. With Paddy locking his weight in for UFC 324, who do you think will win, Paddy or Justin Gaethje? Let us know your predictions in the comments below. And that'll wrap up our video today. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss a video. We'll see you all tomorrow.